Hello and welcome to Blockchain Gaming World with me, John Jordan. So we are almost halfway through 2023, 5/12. I thought it was time that I looked at my token list, which I've not really looked at for a while. Obviously, times have been gloomy, and it's not just worth spending the time filling in this sort of sheet to look more depressed, to feel more depressed. So this is a sheet I've been curating for a while now. I wouldn't say it's 100% comprehensive, but how many we've got there? We've got like 170 ish cryptocurrencies, so tokens. Call it the token watch list. And these are either sort of directly game tokens or sort of more broadly, sort of blockchain entertainment style tokens. So it's just to say, not I wouldn't say this is 100% comprehensive, but it's sort of gives you some good trends over time about what's going on with the price of tokens. I guess as a bit of an introduction, I've been looking at this sort of stuff for like 5 years now, and I think when I started out, I had a much more, I clearly did have a much more naive view that sort of you would see in the price of tokens reflecting some idea of sort of quality of projects. And maybe we can still see that. We'll sort of discuss that a little bit. But I think clearly now after 5 years of these sort of big up and down sort of market cycles, we see a lot more to do with just sort of market cycles, really. So in a bull market, terrible projects can do really well, and even in a bear cycle, even good projects can not do terribly well. So I sort of use this as a way of sort of formulating some ideas about what's going on and maybe highlighting some projects to look at in a little bit more detail that I wouldn't have otherwise looked at. But I don't try and I'm not a token trader. This should not be seen as investment advice. I don't think anyone at this moment in time, or probably any moment in time, can really sort of play the market in that respect, because these things are just so volatile, and there's sort of so much in good and bad times. There can be so much sort of liquidity in and out of the market that. And I would say actually more generally, I think as this time has gone on, projects have realised that, and actually we're seeing sort of fewer projects sort of launch their tokens or launch their tokens in an open way. Maybe they sort of launch their tokens when a game goes live and they feel they have to have them, or some people launch games and then say the token will go live when it needs to go live, sort of thing. So I think we're seeing a lot more nuance around when we're launching these sort of things. Anyway, what have I done here? So obviously loads of numbers. Not everything is filled in exactly, but what have we got here? So roughly here, we've got a whole bunch of tokens. So these are the ticker names of the tokens that you can look up on CoinGecko. Is what I use. And what I've sort of done here is I sort of track as best as I can if these tokens did an IDO or something like that, what the initial price was. That can be quite hard to do for some of these things. There can be sort of different pricing depending on sort of different sort of private sales. So you're sort of making even if you are picking up an IPO price, there could be various different sales on that. So it could be various different sort of levels of cheapness there. So this is the CoinGecko start price. So the first time CoinGecko starts tracking a token. Again, that's not always sort of the cleanest, but it sort of just gives you an idea. You're flicking between multiple of these sort of prices just to sort of get an idea of trajectory. And then I've basically at the start of the year or the year the token went live, I've sort of just logged that as well, so we can sort of get the performance in 2021, performance in 2022, and now obviously in 2023. So this column here is the price, the current price of the token. This column here is the OG ROI. So this is the taking this sort of token sale price. So if you were, the idea generally here is this: if you were sort of the earliest investor into this project, what investment would you have got? The CoinGecko start return on investment price is obviously using this column and basically saying if you sort of bought the tokens when they were first listed on CoinGecko. So this is more this sort of thing is maybe not so much public. Some of these are public token sales, some of them are not public. But by the time it's on CoinGecko, it probably means it's on open marketplaces. And this one is obviously the 2023 3 year-to-date performance. And these are just some all-time high, all-time low stuff and chains and thingy launched and a bunch of other stuff here that I've not particularly filled in. Okay, so what do we got here as a headline? I've tried to block some of these in different colours so we can sort of get an idea as we flip between them. So, even if we can see Axie Infinity AXS token was down 93% in 2022 and is down 96% from its all-time high. We can see actually still, if you were an early investor into Axie Infinity and bought that token for 10 cents, it's now $7. So your return on investment is 6,910%. So these projects here are ones that I've sort of highlighted. So these are ones that have done over 1,000% for their early investors. So they have Axie Infinity, Sand, Steppen, Decentraland, Illuvium. So they're sort of well known in the game space. Hooked is a sort of a newer one, and like I've said, not even quite sure what this one is. Ultra. So people who invest in those have done sort of obviously ridiculously well for Axie. So Axie is still the sort of top performer from that OG where I could find the initial pricing. And then we have the other ones that have done still done sort of okay, 500%. So Alice, my neighbor Alice. Flow, the blockchain, which is focused on entertainment stuff. Merit Circle, which is sort of an investor, game developer, DAO sort of thing. IMX, the Immutable X token, 400%. So even in this sort of bear market, some of these ones have done incredibly well. And I always sort of say the 4 series, can you basically create value from nothing, which is most projects can't do that. Which is why most tokens are not worth anything and have lost the majority of their value and will continue to do so. But some of these have done well. I mean, it's not to say all these are going to be winners in the long term, but you can sort of see some of these have just sort of certainly outperformed their peers. So we have this sort of the dark color here is sort of giving us some idea of this. Remember this though, this is for the early investors. This is for a select number of people who got in early. Some of those will be crypto OGs, some of those will be sort of traditional VCs. So we can flick around, we can sort of see, if we look at the start price for CoinGecko, so we have some idea of sort of when these things were public. So maybe not for insider trading. So Axie and Mana still, doing very well at that point. A few different ones here. So for some of these, I couldn't find the sort of initial pricing, the sort of the investor pricing. So Gala, performed very well. So almost 3,000%. Magic, which is the Treasure DAO token, 2,400%. Engine, one of the longest running. So that actually launched in 2017. So actually 1,500% pretty much if you were buying that at 2 cents when it was first available, first listed on, or first being tracked on CoinGecko. And then this one, which is the used to be called Line, it's the Line Next blockchain that they've just renamed. So 800%, Ultra 500%. So some of those have done, again, these are sort of, I don't think this is necessarily in many cases telling us anything we don't really know. These are sort of quite well-known projects in the blockchain game space, and to a degree they've built themselves up and they've made their token valuable, and that's allowed them to then go on and sort of cement their reputation because they can prove that they're established properties, and then so people buy those tokens on the sort of retail market, and those tokens tend not to fall so much. Although even in these cases, Axie's down 96% from its all-time high. Gala's down 96% from its all-time high. Engine's down 93% from its all-time high. And then the final one, this is a bit more interesting thing for us in 2023 is what projects have done well this year. So this is the for the 5 months of 2023, which projects have done the best. And this is, I guess, a bit more interesting, I would say. So some of these I wouldn't say I'd even really heard of. So this one is Pet. So Pet World is the project. It's sort of a sort of cute, sort of a cat-like sort of pet project thing where they're doing some various things. There's a lot of metaverse stuff. They're doing these sort of light games and animation with some other NFT projects, which they call the blue chip projects. They've got some stuff going on there. They're doing a thing called Bitcoin Bears or something. You know, so not like sort of hardcore gaming, but a bit more around sort of NFTs. And they've done some stuff on Bitcoin with the Audials project. So they sort of played 2023's market quite well. Again, not investment advice, but there we go. They're up 700, and the token price is up 571% in 2023. World, that's the sort of NFT world that was originally building stuff on Minecraft, and then obviously got banned because Minecraft said you couldn't use any NFT. So they've basically totally rebuilt their entire system. So they've sort of done okay. Although sort of down from the time at which sort of CoinGecko started tracking their token, the world token, but that's up 400% this year. Dust is a sort of is the DeGods token, which is a project on Solana, now on Ethereum. So a very sort of high-end NFT sort of project. Guild is interesting. This is one of the Guild projects, and most is blockchain space. So a lot of the sort of Guild projects have done pretty badly token-wise. They did very well in the end of 2021, early 2022, but they've sort of not done well. Guild is one. What you see, Guild was down 87% since it sort of launched, but this year it's actually done okay. So some of these are sort of bouncing back from sort of fairly low positions. Another interesting one is Ron, so the Ronin blockchain, which is from Sky Mavis. And that's done pretty well this year at 271% year to date. So obviously, sort of Sky Mavis is promoting that, and some the first wave of new games is going on that as well. But most of these other ones are not particularly well known. So some of them are coming down from Engine Starter, so pretty well known as a sort of a launch pad, but it's down 96% from the price it originally was, but it's up 155%. So you also have to be a little bit careful. The performance this year may look sort of may look good, but these things may have come down from very high numbers during 2022. Well, in fact, most things have come down a lot from 2022. WeMix, which is the one of the South Korean games companies, doing their own blockchain stuff, up over 100%. So there is, in a sense, what we sort of expect, I suppose, is that even in difficult times, some of these projects will sort of catch the eye, and particularly, if some of these tokens start doing well, then people are going to sort of pile into those. Just because they're going up and not much is going up. Although, if you look down for 2022, actually most things, a lot of things have gone up. I mean, some things have still gone down. So some of these projects have basically had their death rattle and sort of collapsed. Even in 2023, down 100% or. So this is what we expect from projects that are just sort of on their way out. But a lot of projects are still, sort of not much happening really. Sort of if your product's up 10% year on year, then it may have been, tomorrow it could be down, 20%. So really still a lot of volatility in the market. And the other thing to say about 2023 is some of these projects these token prices have been much higher during the year, and they sort of come back down again. So we're only clearly taking, one point in the year. But there we go. I think there's something interesting there. Let's have a quick look actually just here. We can have a look at what was going on. So actually in 2022, actually this is the wrong way around. In 2022, you can see a lot of these projects were, most things were down enormously, and a few things, not much wasn't down enormously, and some of those ones were ones that sort of launched quite late in the year. The other thing to look at is obviously the sort of later you launched your project, probably the better it has performed. Can't really see now if we can sort of pull anything. Can we pull it? If you launched a project a long time ago, it's probably done okay because you went up the bull cycle. And if you launched a project fairly recently in 2023, then you probably not had enough time for the thing to collapse too much. Although some of these down 75%, 83%. So I think it just goes to prove in general that tokens are a really difficult thing to do, and I think that's why we've had this situation where people are being much more careful about launching tokens, and people, a lot of projects are sort of holding off now. So compared to in 2022, everyone launched tokens because the token just went up, and that was sort of a short-term benefit for people, but not so great in the long term. So anyway, hope that was to some degree sort of useful. As I say, you have to be careful with tokens, and certainly careful if you're investing in inverted commas. Clearly, only spend money you can afford to lose, and probably only invest in projects you're actually using and actually sort of understand, rather than just sort of aping in and out, which can very quickly take you to minus 100% or zero. So thanks for watching the video. See you again.